Joining us is live with Miami's Community News, and I'm Michael Miller. I'm here today with Dr. Carmen Concepcion. You are the Dean of Miami-Dade College's School of Education.
Good morning, Michael.
Good morning. That's a long title. So what does somebody like you, what do you do when we wonder about what is that person up to? How are they going to help the community?
So what do I do? It's a new role for me. I've been the Dean of the School of Education at Miami-Dade College for about 11 months. I love what I do because I get to make a difference. I am a classroom teacher, someone who always wanted to teach, someone who always wanted to have an impact on the lives of the children in my community. And now I get to develop the teachers of the future. So that's what I do. I have a team, and together we prepare teachers to support students in early childhood education, special, I'm so sorry.
That's all right. So let's talk. You spent many years with the Dade County Public School System. Tell us about that and why you originally did that many years ago.
So I'm starting my 30th year as an educator. I started at Miami-Dade County Public Schools. Before that, my journey started right after high school. I always wanted to teach. So when I graduated from Hialeah High back in 1988.
From where?
Hialeah High.
Hialeah High. Wilson, you hear that? I graduated of Hialeah High.
Class of 1988. Right. I went to Miami-Dade North to become a teacher. I completed my AA at Miami-Dade and went on to FIU to finish my bachelor's. I was a social studies teacher. I taught at Miami Springs Middle for 6-7 years. I taught geography, civics, and U.S. history, and I loved it. At the time, my students couldn't read the textbook. I had a lot of students, immigrant students that were coming and didn't know the language. So I decided to do my master's in ESOL so that I could teach my kids.
And where was that?
That was at Springs. I started at Springs Middle, did my master's at the University of, at Nova Southeastern University. I did my master's in ESOL, and then I went on to do my specialist in reading at the University of Miami.
Was that a master's or the doctorate?
So the doctorate came later on.
Later on.
That was 3 years ago. First, I wanted to be able to meet the needs of my students in the classroom, even before I thought of getting my doctorate.
What was inside you at age 18 or before that said, this is it, I know this? This
is what I've always wanted to do all my life. I never played with dolls. I played to teach. I was a teacher.
Lots of people want to know when that starts. For you, go back as far as you can and say, I knew at this point for sure this is what I want.
If I could think back, I remember being 5 or 6 years old and having a desk, and my dad would just take it outside for me to play, being a teacher. So those are my earliest memories where teaching. I come from a family of teachers. My grandfather, years ago, as a younger dad, believed that, and this was back in the 1940s, 1950s, he had 5 kids. The boys, my father, they were to be accountants. The girls were to be teachers.
We know when you have goals in mind that it changes the brain.
Right.
And so what appeared to be all clogged up, but when you have that on your mind and in your brain, that it opens up. Mm-hmm. And all the stuff that used to be in the way clears up for your path. When did you know, I'm on this path, I'm working towards it? When did that?
Senior year, I think that students, when you're in high school and it's time to make decisions about your future and you're deciding what you're going to do the rest of your life, I think that was a turning point. When you go through high school, there's several things that you consider, but it was right before I graduated high school that I decided that was my ultimate goal. And I was always very supported by my family. Like I said, I have 3 aunts who taught. One of them retired from Miami-Dade County Public Schools, taught math at the elementary level. And I remember in middle school, junior high at the time, and high school, going with her to her classroom to set it up at the beginning of the year, going on field trips with her students and supporting her. So that was always a dream, and it was always supported by my vision, and my goals were supported by my family.
So we know that there are shortages in many careers.
Right.
We know in nursing there are huge tens of thousands of openings that are there. Mm-hmm. We know in education that's the same.
Right.
What's the shortage right now, and what does the future look like? And we're getting them, and what do we do in the meantime?
So there's a huge shortage, and it's not just here in South Florida, but it's all over the nation. I think that we are being creative and we're being strategic. And this is so I can speak for Miami-Dade College, the different initiatives that we have in place. And I think that not just at Miami-Dade College, but as a society, as a community, if we think of the future and how we together can improve on the shortage of teachers that we have, it's about shifting how we look at education and the impact that a teacher can have in the classroom. It's about shifting how, as a society, we support teachers, we develop our human capital, we develop our teachers, we value their voice, and we encourage students early on in high school, when they think that they may be able to consider a career in education, how we foster those dreams and how we encourage them to follow their dreams and how we support them.
So we see with the nursing, they're making more money than ever before,
right,
for a lot of reasons.
Right.
How can we take that concept over there, both extremely valued and nursing predominantly female?
Right.
How do we get that so that the people that fund that, right, that's all of us, but and then it goes to the government. So the funders, the states and the governments are going to put a higher value on those teachers,
right,
and so that we can allocate more money. What has to be done?
I think that we need to get together as thought partners and we need to decide what our priorities are and how we move forward. I think that we've done a great job here in our community in Miami-Dade County with the referendum, with the community valuing teachers and the work that we bring and the impact that we have on the community. So it's about growing that impact, not just locally and not just with the community, but then bringing it to those that can have an impact and can make changes at the policy level.
David Lawrence, chairman of the Children's Trust, one of our guest speakers, and he said by the age of 3,
right,
it's a done deal. And if we don't take care of those kids,
correct,
15 years later, all right, when they're adults over there, if they're not functional, at that point, it's a drain on society,
right,
and they're not going to be successful. And it's their family issues, and there's unemployment issues, there's drug issues, lots of challenges.
Right.
So how do we get in the educational arena as early as possible to those kids? So instead of playing with dolls, if you will,
right,
maybe they're going to be playing with textbooks.
With books, and if we shift our focus and it becomes literacy, yes, children learn by you can learn through play, but it has to be more intentional. It's about involving families and involving communities. You either, as a society, pay the price at the end, like you said, when our kids get involved in drugs. And many times, if we look at the research, we know, like you said, by the age of 3, early on, if we focus on literacy, it's about developing parents and working through the parents to get to the children early on. We know that there's a lot of research that supports oral language. The more that you speak to a child, so oral language can define how literate a student can be and how successful a student can be later on in life.
Our producer is Julian now. And Julian, what's the name of the 2 young men who were both drafted right out of high school for the recent basketball draft?
They don't do high school anymore.
So, but there were 2 that just got drafted.
Which ones are you talking about?
The 2 brothers.
Oh, the twins?
The twins.
I'll see her.
Okay. So there was an interview with their parents. When did you know they were going to be playing basketball? He says, I talked to them when they were in the womb.
Right.
Talked to them all the time, that whole time. It's almost as though they didn't have a choice.
Right.
That was, the brain was there. Okay, we're going to play basketball. And what a great thing it was to hear that story about the guidance. And we're trying to teach these people, the young people, on how to do that, because that really affects all of us, whether it's us, our children, or grandchildren. So what are some of the challenges that we have in Miami-Dade County as far as our educational system as compared to pick any other state and any other city? Tell us about that.
In terms, I'm sure that we have a lot of challenges. What I've seen in the last 30 years that I've been in education is that we are doing a much better job than we were doing 30 years ago when I started teaching middle school, like I said, at Miami Springs Middle. There are many challenges. I would say that the biggest one is having the families involved in the education of their children. As a teacher, it made a huge difference when my parents were involved in the education that I was leading in the classroom, when we had a partnership. I think that that's the biggest challenge. And I know that there's a huge focus, not just locally in our community, but across the state of Florida, to involve parents early on when students are in preschool to make sure that they're focusing and supporting what is happening at preschools.
So we understand that if the parents are not involved and the child is over there and they come back, they're not doing it, so it's just me.
Right.
At the house, pretty difficult for that to happen. I want to share 2 experiences that I had at Miami Dade when I went there a few years ago.
Okay.
I was failing an English class, and the teacher came over and said, "What's the problem, Michael?" And I said, "Oh, I don't know. I get frustrated." She said, "Come on, get a special class." Right. So we go to her office, which was about the size of this table. Mm-hmm. There were 2 tables, 2 chairs. Tell me about it. I said, "Well, when I sit down at the typewriter to type, I get frustrated. I pull the paper out and I throw it out." She said, "Oh, Michael, the next time that happens, why don't you just stop, pause, and start again?" So here I am 50 years later telling that story. And my life is like that now.
Right.
You try it, you get frustrated, and then you go, what am I going to do? Some people flee, and other people sort of figure out what to do. And so that has really lived with me for a long time, and it's great advice that I had. Actually, I have it up on a wall in our building. Another one is, I was taking anatomy and physiology in 1970. I became friends with the professor and his wife for 45 years.
Right.
What an incredible experience. And when the wife, now widow, had a medical problem, she calls me.
Right.
I was stunned that she called me. I picked up the phone and called her 50-year-old son. Your mother needs you. What? No, I said, I'm telling you, I'm in her house right now. She needs you. Well, she wouldn't tell me. I said, I'm telling you, she needs your help. And so here it is, the bonding that occurred because of that closeness, because the teachers, the instructors, and staff understands what can happen, and that bonding can last so often. So tell us about some of the features that you are looking for and the caring ways that I can identify a teacher, say, they really care, or maybe they're only interested more in the educational aspect. Right. So how do you help the teachers connect?
I can relate to your story. I remember that I had a principal that used to say that he could hire people with great hearts and he could make them great teachers. And at the time, I didn't understand what he meant. But I believe it to be true. We could be experts in our content, but if we cannot relate to the child that is in the classroom, they're not going to learn anything from us. I taught middle school for 14 years, and I think that when I retire, I would love to go back to middle school and teach more middle school students. It is my favorite age group because they're becoming their own individual persons. They're deciding who they're going to be in the future. And if you're there as a teacher to mold that individual and to build those relationships with them, you can have a great impact. I can relate as a student. I can relate as a teacher, and I can relate as a beginning teacher. I was placed when I was doing my internship. And this is a story that I always, when I meet with students at Miami-Dade College, I share my experience as a beginning teacher with my mentor teacher. It's been 30 plus years since I did my internship. My mentor teacher retired a couple of years ago from Miami-Dade County Public Schools. We're still best friends. She's down here. She moved to California. She's down here for the summer, and we have a date in a couple of weeks. We always keep track of each other. We always connect a couple of times a year because of that bonding and that relationship that we built 30 years ago as a 23-year-old, 22-year-old student, FIU student who wanted to become a teacher. If I hadn't had her support and the support of the other teachers as a brand new teacher, I wouldn't have been the teacher that I was for 20 years in the classroom.
We know a large percentage of students that are going in perhaps are the first in their families to go to college.
Right.
What are we doing as a community to reach out to them to say, you can do this?
So we're doing many things. I think that I'm proud to say that we continue to Miami-Dade College, the School of Education at Miami-Dade College has been in place for many, many years. We've had great programs. I think that what we're doing currently that's making a bigger impact is the fact that we're personalizing the support that we're providing our students and the relationships that we're building with the students. We have, they have great relationships with the faculty, but I've made it my point to connect with the students, Because what I bring to the college is my experience as a classroom teacher for so many years in our community, and I can share my stories with them. I can share my stories with the students in the classroom. I can provide feedback and I can provide support. I can also rely on the relationships that I built over 30 years in with Miami-Dade County Public Schools and make those connections for my students now at Miami-Dade College.
So, Carmen, a lot of students that go to Miami-Dade are socialization issues, they have financial issues.
Mm-hmm.
What can the college do to help somebody from a financial end?
So many of our students do qualify for financial aid. Many of our students, there is a financial need, but I think that the biggest need is finding the time for students to meet the requirements of college, because many of them have full-time jobs. So I'm going to talk about one specific initiative that we launched in December, which is the residency program. So students in a school of education, before they graduate, they need to complete an internship. It's usually an unpaid internship. It's 3 months with the students, especially our students struggle because they have to stop working to volunteer or work as an intern in the school system or in a classroom. In December, we launched an initiative where now our students are hired as teacher residents by the school district, and they have a salary. So sometimes you forget the struggles that you had growing up, but it becomes real when you're having those conversations with the students. And that's something that I learned early on when I became a dean back in December, when students were coming to me and sharing that they were so excited because now they didn't have to quit their jobs to finish their bachelor's at Miami-Dade. Now they had an option. They can continue going through the traditional internship that we've had. I was a traditional intern. I had to stop working to be able to finish my bachelor's. Now they can be hired with a $40,000 salary with the school district. The school district just created a job description specifically for teacher residents. They are placed in the classroom with a mentor teacher, but they're the teacher in the classroom by themselves. They meet with their mentor teacher after hours, and then there's a smooth transition when they graduate because they remain at the school site. They've already developed those relationships with the mentor teacher, with the administration, with the colleagues. They are very excited. So we went from 10 students that signed up to try this new program back in December to over 40 students that are now starting in the fall as residents in the classroom.
That's what a tremendous opportunity for them to be around that, to be excited, also get that brain going and get them on this pathway.
And we're being very strategic. We're placing them at the schools that have the vacancies, and we are creating wraparound support for those students. So it's not just now I'm going to do my internship. You have support from the college, from the faculty members that go and visit them on a regular basis, provide support, provide feedback. They have the mentor teacher, but they also have the Office of Professional Development and Evaluation with the school district, who is being very intentional about the support that is being provided. So it's a true partnership.
So Miami-Dade College offers a wide range of certificates, 2-year degree, 4-year degree, and as the president, Madam Primerica, said, you can become an electrician, or you can be on your way to MIT.
Yep.
So there's this wide range of opportunities. So many people that are in high school, and maybe they're 18 or 19 or 20, are very nervous about the future.
Right.
How do you get them in those first couple of classes to be excited about it and excited enough that they're going to come back? What do you do? So
we just launched a new initiative with the school district as well, and these are the teaching academies. Having been a high school literacy coach for about 6 years, and with my own children at home, I think that one of the best things that we've done over the past few years is create academies at the high schools, because students have an opportunity to try different academies and to find their true passion. What we just launched last month with the school district is a teaching academy at each one of the high schools across the county. That means that a student that transitions from middle school to high school and is considering the teaching profession now can take dual enrollment courses while they're in high school, specific to teaching, to see if this is something that they want to do. They have the opportunity now, like you said, they can complete their associate's degree, either AS or AA, but they also have the opportunity to complete college credit credentials in the field of education and work at a preschool, be a teacher assistant. So they're learning, they're putting it into practice, and they're reflecting on the opportunities that they have in the future. They could potentially graduate from high school with their high school diploma and their associate already completed and have met all the prerequisites to come into the School of Education. And within 2 years, be a teacher with a bachelor's degree by 20.
So there's a young man, his name is Anthony Venezuela. Hey, Anthony, who was the president of the student council during the pandemic.
Right.
So he finishes and he goes off to school. He says, I graduated. I said, it's only been 2 years.
Right.
He says, yeah, because I did all that other stuff. It was really miraculous to see that out of Miami-Dade College, there's so many successful people there.
Right.
And I know that Miami-Dade has produced 2.5 million millionaires, right, in the state, all right? And it's really tremendous. Let's talk about some of those basic requirements as far as math. I know a lot of people are concerned with that. And I was fortunate yesterday to speak to one of your professors at Miami-Dade about the AI classes.
Okay.
No math needed to do. So there's something for everybody.
There is.
And if you want to do that, there's enough support to get you there and to work with you, right? And to literally or figuratively hold your hand to get you on the other side of that.
Correct. I think that the most important piece is getting our students where they are and take them to where they want to be or where they need to be.
So years ago, as I mentioned, went to Miami-Dade South, Kendall, right?
Right.
You have 8, and it was pretty big at that point.
Right.
There are 8 campuses. Tell us where the campuses are.
So the School of Education is at the Petron campus in Lerdo, Havana. Over the past few months, we're being very strategic because we want to make sure that we continue. There's a need in our community when it comes to teachers. We want to make sure that we grow the School of Education across the college, across our community. So we currently have courses available at the lower division level, at the AA level, all across the college. So we have the North Campus in the North End. We have the Hialeah campus. We have the West Campus. We have Kendall, like you mentioned. We have Homestead, and we have the Medical Campus, and we have Wilson. So we are building a teaching pipeline at each one of the campuses based on the needs of the community.
Let's talk about the Medical Campus. What are some of the certificates or degrees that are offered?
At the Medical Campus, I don't want to speak for the Medical Campus. I do have 2 colleagues, deans that support the Medical Campus.
Okay, that's good. Well, they can become a registered nurse.
They could become a registered nurse. I know that we have a focus LPNs, but we also have a focus for dentistry as well. But I don't want to speak about the Medical Campus.
And also, I think the school has, if you want to become a funeral director.
Correct.
That's so amazing.
There are so many. I wouldn't be able to tell you how many bachelors we have. We have so many opportunities for everyone in our community, from the college credit certificate to a bachelor's degree, an associate's degree, an associate in science, an associate in arts.
So, Carmen, what's it like when you've been following a student and then they are successful and then they complete it and they get their degree? First one in their family to have gone to college. What's it like for you?
So I can talk about a specific student. When I was a teacher at Hialeah Garden Senior, my mentor teacher was a teacher at Hialeah Miami Lakes, and she had a new student. She was visually impaired. She was losing her eyesight. She had just come to the country from Cuba, and she wanted to find resources. At the time, my oldest son had a traumatic brain injury, so I had gone through a similar process. And the 2 of us got the student and her mom, and we brought her to FIU. We wanted her to know this was a high school student, recent immigrant to the country. We took her to FIU, and we took her to visit campus and to share with her the different opportunities that she had available in front of her. We wanted her to be focused. We wanted her to understand that her disability was not going to hinder how she was going to move forward. Years later, when I got to Miami-Dade College last summer, that student was a student in my program. She was in the biology program. And she was part of my first completion ceremony. She graduated from Miami-Dade College in December as a biology teacher. And my mentor teacher came, and the 3 of us were able to celebrate her great success. It took this student about 10 years to complete her bachelor's, but she was able to make it. So she is just one of the students that I was able to support from her time as a high school student to now as a new teacher. But that's the story of each one of our students. And that's what I love about my job. I get to meet. I'm not a dean in the office. I became a teacher because I love the interactions and the connections that I make with my students. And I think that having spent 20 years in the classroom from middle school to high school, being at MD College is just an extension of the work that I've done, because I get to connect with each one of my students. And I hope to make a difference that way, because if I don't get to know my students at a personal level, I don't get to prepare the best teachers that I want to be able to prepare for my community.
And congratulations on that. It's a massive success for everybody.
Yes.
I know that you're still passionate about that. And so my hat's off to you. So as I look through our building here, the number of people that have been to Miami-Dade College is tremendous.
Yes.
It's enormous. And it's such a huge asset.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Edward Petroni spent his entire life there, a gentleman's gentleman.
Right.
Help bring this along with a huge team and a great
Mm-hmm.
team to the awareness that it's okay to go do that.
Right.
And tell us about future programs that may be in the works that you might be offered.
Absolutely. So we are currently working on a new program, and it's aligned to House Bill 1035 that the governor, I think I'm quoting it correctly, that the governor just signed back in March, that gives us the opportunity to create a teacher apprentice program. President Pumariega and Superintendent Dotris are in a strong partnership to continue to develop opportunities for students in our community. What the teacher apprenticeship program would do is provide students with an associate's degree, the opportunity to come to the School of Education and be hired as a teacher as a teacher apprentice with the school district. I know that the school district is in the process of negotiating their salary, and we are in the process of developing the program. Our goal is to launch it now in the fall. This would give students with an associate's the opportunity to earn $40,000 with an associate's degree, and the opportunity to be in the classroom with a mentor teacher. According to House Bill 1035, the requirement is that mentor teacher has to be an experienced, highly effective teacher that will support this teacher apprentice for the next 2 years. So this is, again, another creative way to meet the needs that we have in our community, to find, to fill the vacancies that we have in our school side.
And what a welcoming thing to do for people, this continuation, and before they know it, they're going to be out. They can have whatever degree that they wanted to get to, and hopefully a job that they'll enjoy and be able to share. So if somebody wanted to sign up for school today, they can go to you online, they can find the classes. What are some of the deadlines for this next semester?
So we have, the deadlines are soon approaching, but we are available to meet our students where they are and to personalize. Just yesterday, we were at the Kendall campus attending Synergy with the school district, and one of the principals approached myself and one of my colleagues because her two daughters are at the Hialeah campus, and she wanted to be able to support her. And we just looked at the students' records and were able to guide her as to what her daughters needed to do to be admitted into the School of Education. So it's rolling admissions. We get students on a semester basis, and we take them from where they are to where they need to be. So I wouldn't be able to give you a specific deadline because if it's all the time. If they're not able to make it now to start in the fall, we have another opportunity. They have another opportunity in the fall to start in the spring.
And so often the difference between a young person getting in or out is a caring person.
That's it. So that's all it takes.
Tell me, well, this is what's going on. Okay, we can help.
Right. And building those partnerships with the parents. My youngest one is 23 years old. Children today think in different ways. So I think that having that, like I said, it's a partnership that you develop with the parents early on when the children start preschool, but it's a partnership that you continue to have with the parents, even if the students are now in college.
We're going to wrap in just a minute, but what I would like you to do is I'd like you to think about a mentor of yours, right? And if you'd like to address them by name, that would be good. And look into that camera. Julian, way on for there, and talk to her.
So thank you for the opportunity to talk to my mentor teacher, and I hope to be able to share this message with her. My mentor teacher was Claudia Estrada. She was a teacher at Miami Springs Middle School when I was an intern. I think that I am where I am today because of her support. Her support for me, but her dedication to the students that she taught at Miami Springs Middle, the community that she built for me, the community that she built for the other teachers at the school, and And I thank her for being available to me to whenever I have a question. I still feel comfortable calling her about decisions that I'm making, difficult decisions that sometimes we need to make in our profession. I value her as a friend, and I value her as a colleague. She epitomizes what a true teacher is. Someone who builds relationships with the students and then focuses on the content. The content comes second. We need to connect with our students before we can make a difference.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Dean
sir. Thank you for the
Carmen Concepcion
opportunity.
from Miami-Dade College. Thank you very much for joining us today.